Hello! It's been a while, hasn't it? The last time I posted a longer video about Genshin Impact was during the release of Natlan. During that time, so much has changed within the game. New characters, new regions, and new lore permanently reshaping how we as players feel about the world of Teyvat. We all long for a place to call home, a place where we feel accepted, where we can be ourselves without fear of judgment, and where we belong. It's a desire so fundamental it's woven into the very fabric of who we are. We often picture this place as a warm hearth or a shining city, but what if that place isn't a paradise you seek out, but a sanctuary that you build? In the world of Teyvat, the idea of home has always been a central driving force. From the freedom of Mondstadt to the strong sense of duty in Liyue, each nation gives its people a unique sense of belonging shaped by the ideals of its archon. But as our journey as a traveler has unfolded for the last almost 6 years, we've started to see the cracks in those ideals and concepts. We've seen gods fall, nations face their own contradictions, and characters drifting along through the story in search of something that the 7 nations of Teyvat alone can't offer. And this is where we find our most recent destination, a place that exists outside the established order, a beacon for the lost outliers in our cast. This is Nod-Krai, and this is the story of how characters from all over Teyvat, outcasts like Linnea and the enigma that is Columbina, have come to this harsh but healing land, not looking for a nation, but for something much more meaningful, a home. Before I dive into a few character-specific stories and themes that give Nod-Krai its heart, I really want to express the need to understand the nation itself as a whole. So what is this awkward place? Officially, Nod-Krai is an autonomous region on the southern edge of Snezhnaya. It's a borderland northwest of Natlan at the very edge of Teyvat's current map. The location of Nod-Krai alone is a big deal and sets a distinction between Nod-Krai and the other nations of Teyvat. Nod-Krai is, for all intents and purposes, a crossroads, a liminal space that doesn't fully belong to any single power. The name Nod-Krai itself feels like a deliberate piece of storytelling, while Krai is a word of Russian origin that means borderland or edge, and immediately tells us it's on the periphery of 2 nations. The word Nod, however, brings a heavier, more ancient feeling. Some players interpret this through a biblical lens, where the land of Nod was the place of exile for Cain. In that light, Nod-Krai becomes a thematic Borderland of Exiles, a name that doesn't promise glory or justice, but simply a place for those with nowhere else to turn. However, I do find it important to note that despite the heavy use of Latin within the soundtrack for Nod-Krai and the very obvious invasion of the Fatui on the land, Nod-Krai itself is not based on any specific culture according to the game developers. All that aside, Nod-Krai does very much live up to the interpretation of being a Borderland of Exiles. Exploring various sections of the map, it's not hard to paint a picture of a harsh, unforgiving environment with biting gales and desolate tundras, where days are short and the nights are like a dark, yawning maw. It's known to be a lawless place where travelers are warned to be cautious, as anyone with wealth can easily become a target. And yet, despite the danger, or maybe because of it, people from all corners of Teyvat are drawn here. It's even gained a paradoxical reputation as an Elysium, a haven for those seeking refuge or opportunity away from the watching eyes of the 7. The stubborn autonomy of Nod-Krai is a key part of its identity. While it is technically a region of Snezhnaya, it's not under the same direct control as the rest of the nation. This political distance has allowed a complex mix of factions to emerge. We hear about the Knights of Avonius expedition led by Mondstadt's very own Grand Master Varka, who is investigating a mysterious looming threat in the region. We also know that the Fatui are present, with rumors swirling that harbingers like Sandrone and Dottore are operating from a stronghold there. And some theories even suggest the Hexen Circle, the mysterious group of witches, has a vested interest in the secrets the region hides. But perhaps the most important group native to the region are the Frostmoon Scions. They are described as the indigenous people of Nod-Krai, a reclusive group who live in the wilds and worship the moon goddess and in turn the moon itself. This points to the real foundational power of Nod-Krai, something that predates the Seven and their elemental authority. The region is deeply connected to the three moons of Teyvat's ancient past, steeped in a forgotten cosmology. Some inhabitants are said to wield a special power derived from the moons, an energy referred to as Kuvaki. It's a power that both certain members of the Fatui and the Abyss, or more specifically the Five Sinners of Conria, desperately want to control. Fatui aside, the land is also plagued by a monstrous horde of zombie-like beings known as the Wild Hunt, an abyssal phenomenon that taints the deceased and turns them into ghouls. By playing through the Archon quest, it's safe to assume that the Wild Hunt is controlled by Rerir, one of the Five Sinners of Conria. It's also safe to assume that Nod-Krai suffered grievously from the Abyss in the fallout of the Cataclysm 500 years ago. And similar to other nations within Teyvat, this battle has never really ended. Defending the land from the constant threat of the Wild Hunt are the Light Keepers, an ancient order of guardians who have stood against the darkness for centuries. So, what we have isn't a nation in the traditional sense. It's a fractured, dangerous, and chaotic frontier. It's a melting pot of various factions, ancient powers, and constant threats. There are no statues of the Seven to offer comfort here. Instead, all we really have is the moon. It makes you wonder, why would anyone choose to call this place home? How could a land defined by exile, hardship, and endless conflict become a sanctuary? The answer, as is so often the case in Genshin Impact, is found in the personal stories of the characters who live there. A place is only as real as its people. A nation's ideal is meaningless if it doesn't resonate in the hearts of its citizens. And for Nod-Krai, a land without a unifying god or government, its identity is forged from the collective experiences of those who come and go freely. To understand why this wasteland is called an Elysium, we have to look at the stories of those who found belonging in its unforgiving embrace. We have to look at characters like the Light Keeper, Flins, and the mysterious automaton, Ineffa. Our first guide into the soul of Nod-Krai is Flins. A man introduced to us as a Light Keeper, he stands guard at the Final Night Cemetery, a lone bastion against the encroaching Wild Hunt. He's elegant and gentlemanly, but shrouded in an air of deep melancholy and mystery. He's a man who, as we're constantly shown, doesn't share details of his past or present more than he has to.
Word is that you were caught up in a real horror show recently. People were amazed that you returned safe and sound. They've been debating whether you're even human.
I've returned safe and sound from plenty of crises. When you say people, do you mean other people? Or do you just mean you?
Fine. I'll be frank. You're not human, are you?
Heavens. Now that's a horrifying thought.
You know what? Forget it. We'll revisit this once it's all over.
A sound plan. Albeit a little ominous sounding.
But by pulling on the hidden threads of Genshin Impact's lore, a heartbreaking story begins to emerge. Character stories reveal that Flins wasn't born in Nod-Krai. He was a wanderer from an unknown land who arrived lost and without purpose. It was the Light Keepers of that era who found him and took him in, offering him shelter, a purpose, and a sense of belonging he had never known before. He found a home among them, and a family in their captain who treated him as one of their own. This peace was shattered by a great calamity, a massive assault from the Wild Hunt that all but wiped out that generation of Light Keepers. In the heat of the battle, the captain made the ultimate sacrifice to protect Flins, entrusting him with his lantern and the future of their order. Flynn survived, but he carries the heavy weight of that loss and the memory of the family he could not save.
Personally, I do feel inclined to do something for them. To help these shadows of the heroes that once were forget the death that will soon be upon them, and return to their slumber. In time, the memories and yearning of these ghosts will fade, and slowly return to the ley lines. But that time has not yet come. My dear Ratniki, I am Kirill Chudamirovich Flins. Once upon a time, it was I who retrieved your fallen bodies from the battlefield. Now, let me once more lay you to rest, for you are worthy of my respect and earnest esteem. Look upon my flame and wander no longer. Return to your graves and forever rest in peace. 6 feet under may you slumber in your erstwhile homeland, and in sweet dreams return to the ley line's embrace.
They're gone!
Some of their memories and thoughts have been dispersed. The rest will later return to their usual state. To me, they are both warriors whose memories should be honored, and my gentle, friendly neighbors.
This is the source of his deep-seated sorrow and his unyielding resolve. His role as a Lightkeeper is not just a job, it's the acceptance of a sacred inheritance. His lantern isn't just a tool to quell the ghouls, it's a symbol of the hope and will passed down to him by those who fell. His fight against the Wild Hunt isn't just a duty, it's a deeply personal promise to honor their sacrifice. He couldn't prevent the loss of his first found family, and that memory fuels his unending vigil.
All in good time. Socializing is a step-by-step journey.
But you're much further ahead on that road, aren't you?
You're not seeing the full picture. You know the truth now. My friends do not understand my habits. There is no question about it. The Lightkeepers need a representative in the League. Someone who is upright, cares about other people, and can realize their self-worth through group action.
You say it like you wouldn't make the cut.
I am most flattered that you think I would. Sigh a little less, Master Ilua, and have more faith in yourself. All the Lightkeepers agree that you're a very promising young man. That is precisely why Starshina Nikita felt safe delegating such important work to you.
I'm sure we all also agree that we would sooner die of dehydration than manage to wrangle anything out of you in a discussion.
My apologies. I am not in the habit of bringing water with me when I go out.
Flynn's story perfectly embodies one of Nod-Krai's core ideas. Home is not a place you're given, but a legacy you choose to uphold. He wasn't born a Lightkeeper, he was welcomed as a brother. He found a family among mortals and a new reason to live in their struggle. He is a wanderer who, having been saved by a home, now dedicates his life to defending it. His vigil isn't just about keeping monsters out, it's about safeguarding the very idea that a home is something worth fighting and dying for, a promise passed from one generation to the next. Where Flins found a home by being adopted into one, the biologist Linnea's story is one of being cast out. Linnea is one of the Snowland Fae, specifically a rare type known as an augury bird. Beings cursed with the ability to see fragments of their own unchangeable fate.
Will you please answer me now? Why do we have the same wings on our heads? Why did I pass out when I touched you? And why did I see all those...
Visions of your future?
So, it wasn't a dream after all.
Of course not. Linnea, you're an avid student of the natural world. Surely you're aware of the 6 most common types of Fae?
The Vila, Domovoy, Leshy, Volkodlok, Snegovic, and Jack Frosts.
Right. Well, there are many less common varieties too. The legendary Lantern Fae, the Sirens with their lilting songs, and us, the Augury Birds. We foretell both disaster and delight, gazing upon the past dawn and future night. Others fear and revere our might, while we alone detest our plight.
I've never heard of an augury bird before. or the poem you just recited.
That's hardly a surprise. You can count the number of augury birds alive today on one hand. And that includes you and me. Augury birds are born with a peculiar ability. We can see crossroads in the flow of fate, immutable future events that all paths will lead to.
Are you talking about prophecies?
Doesn't surprise me. Humanity has many ways of observing fate. The stars, the ley lines. Our abilities are feeble in comparison. We can only see our own fates. If a friend wants to know their future, or someone is concerned about the destiny of the world, we're powerless to help. But the way it feels to witness your own fate, I trust you understand by now, Linnea.
It certainly wasn't fun. Those prophecies brought a flood of emotions with them, from excitement to frustration to bitterness. By the end, all I was left with was a kind of numb emptiness. I had a goal in life, and before I even had the chance to start fighting for it, I saw how it would end. It's like someone spoiled the ending of a story I was really enjoying.
Wait till you've tried to defy fate and found how powerless you are to change it. That's when the real suffering begins.
According to her story quest, her Fae parents swapped her with a human child to be raised among mortals, hoping to delay the awakening of her painful powers.
You know every joy and every sorrow you'll ever experience, and there's nothing you can do to change it. Like you said, it leaves you with a numb emptiness. Generation after generation of augury birds lived with this burden. Until you were born, and our parents found the only solution they could think of. If an augury bird is set far from the Fae to grow up among humans, the awakening of their prophetic abilities could be delayed.
So that's how I became a changeling. What about the child I was switched with? What happened to her?
Don't worry, she had the opposite problem to you. She needed to live among the Fae. She was born with a strange, rare disease that humans cannot cure. If she hadn't been switched, she would have died a long time ago. Our parents saved her life, then raised her as their own. Eventually, her birth parents came to find her, and now they're living together in Snezhnegrad.
She grew up loved by her human parents, but as she got older, non-human traits like small wings on her head and crystal patterns on her skin began to appear. Terrified of being different, she hid these changes until she finally confessed her true nature as a changeling to her family. The revelation created a painful distance. Her parents, though not cruel, eventually gave her some money and left to search for their biological daughter, leaving Linnea truly alone.
Remember when we were at Speranza and I told you guys about my childhood? Well, there were a few details I left out. I wasn't a very cheerful kid, nor was I all that brave. Before I told my human parents about being a Fae, I spent so many sleepless nights tossing and turning. I knew what might happen once I told them. I desperately hoped they'd say, "Linnea, even if you aren't our child, we still love you." But I knew that was impossible. Their own human child was out there somewhere, as were my Fae parents. Our family was a lie. And all lies unravel with time. So, even though I was terrified, and even though I knew I might end up an unwanted child, I eventually mustered the courage to tell them. I did what I thought was right. I knew things might not turn out how I hoped, but I wasn't going back on my decision. The same applies this time. I have to see Celino.
This is how she found Nod-Krai, a rather small corner of it. She fell in love with the Conch Gang, a group of children from broken homes who supported each other. In this community of fellow outcasts, her non-human traits weren't a source of fear, but of admiration, and they even made her their old boss. For Linnea, home wasn't her birthplace among the Fae, which she describes as feeling unwelcoming, nor was it her childhood house, from which she was ultimately rejected. Instead, she found a home and a found family, a gang of kids in a lawless borderland who accepted her for who she was, wings and all. Her story shows that home isn't about blood or belonging to a grand species, but about the simple, powerful act of being welcomed by others. Similar to Linnea, if Flins represents creating a home through purpose, then Ineffa represents search for a home through identity and acceptance. Ineffa is, in my opinion, one of the most unique characters we've ever met. She's an automaton, a mechanical being, yet she's full of life, love, and a quiet sense of longing. Her very existence is a patchwork of Teyvat's nations, incorporating Fontaine's steampunk aesthetics, ideals shown to her by Aino, and an energy core from Natlan's ancient dragon civilization. She is a being assembled from the parts of many different places and has heavy expectations and a crippling past placed upon her by the dragon civilization of Natlan, but it's impossible for her to find belonging in one specific nation. This is her central conflict, and as we learn through her journey, Ineffa grapples with where she truly belongs. Ineffa's core doesn't just contain a power source, it originates from the 11th sovereign lord of Natlan. This core was then supposedly found by Aino in a junk pile in Nod-Krai and placed within the automaton body we now know as Ineffa. Due to her origins as a secret source automaton in the core of the 11th sovereign lord, Ineffa is cursed with constant memory loss.
Her chest looks pretty similar to the core you'd find on a secret source automaton, but the other components, I've never seen anything like them in Natlan before. I'll see what I can do. Hang tight for a minute.
She woke up! You're pretty smart for a robot. Can you tell us the code for the message?
Code?
Oh, maybe not so smart after all. A code? You know, like a number that you put in to unlock the message?
Memory. Missing.
What? Memory missing?
Yeah, there's always a snag. Is there anything else you do remember, besides these two?
Name. Memory missing.
Oh, not again! Why would her memories be missing? Can robots even get amnesia?
You said something about returning home earlier. Where's home for you? Any memories about that?
Return home. Task in progress. Memory missing.
Oh, so that's it then. Her memories are gone for good?
Not necessarily. Judging by her reaction, it's possible that her memory integrity isn't compromised, just locked behind an isolation mechanism.
Yeah, but what does that mean for us, though? In words we can understand.
It means she hasn't lost her memories. They're in there somewhere, she just can't access them right now. Like, when you know something, but the harder you try to remember it, the more it gives you a headache. Is that what's going on?
Finding near synonyms for headache. Cognition module. Pain. Correct.
Robots can feel pain, too?
Well, pain can be a useful parameter. Experiencing pain is how baby humans and saurians learn what to do and what not to do. In a similar vein, I've heard that a lot of highly autonomous machines are designed with negative feedback mechanisms for behavioral regulation.
Whoa, slow down. Could you simplify that for Paimon?
Oh, okay, well, if I call it a curse, is that easier to understand? Imagine if you're a big shot shaman from the Masters of the Nightwind and you send your disciple on an errand to the Flowerfeather clan. To stop him from treating it like a vacation, you might put a curse on him that causes a physical and mental breakdown if he strays from the right path. That way, you can be sure he'll stick to the straight and narrow and won't go frolicking off.
Jeez. Sounds like the horror story version of Granny Eatsley that parents tell their kids about.
The point is, manufacturers often hardwire restrictions like this into autonomous machines to make sure they operate as intended.
Yeah, but why would you curse a machine to lose their memories? What purpose could that possibly serve? In her case, all it's done is make it harder for her to complete her tasks.
Task failed. Sincere apologies.
Well, without knowing the exact details of the curse, it's anyone's guess. It seems you responded to the phrase return home. How about we keep talking and see if any other keywords trigger something for you?
Sure. I'm alright. I have assessed the pain level as tolerable. I must complete my task.
This can frame her quiet, sometimes distant demeanor not as a lack of emotion, but as a tragic defense mechanism. Her journey prior to the Archon quest with the Nod-Krai therefore becomes a quest to understand her own fragmented identity, the mechanical body, the ancient consciousness within, and the curse that plagues her.
Maybe no single nation is her home.
Where exactly is home to you?
Searching your memories? The curse is still active. This will only hasten your demise.
We're all from Nod-Krai.
Cross the ocean. Find a new place to belong.
What an amazing machine. Where are you from?
Such a hard worker. Fancy making this your new home?
The Wild Hunt! Look out!
Impossible. Where is this data from?
From now on, your name's Ineffa. Promise me. Remember, you have to come home.
Return.
Data. Overload. Capacity exceeded. As long as this gem's around, the heart that Ishkik built you should keep beating away. It may take centuries, even millennia, but one day, may your new memories transcend your pain and rage to conquer the curse that shackles you.
What kind of gem is it?
Nothing special, really. To quote my mother, it's nothing but an empty shell now. But if you break free of the curse, then maybe...
Huh?
Nothing. An interesting idea suddenly occurred to me. Let's make this the final secret key.
The final secret key is...
Impossible!
is where Nod-Krai becomes essential to her story. It is a land of those who come and go constantly, but more importantly, it's a place where beings who don't fit the mold can find sanctuary. Ineffa is the ultimate outsider. She isn't human or humanoid. She's not from a single nation. Her very being is a collection of scattered parts. Where else in Teyvat could someone like her find a place? In Mondstadt, she'd be a curiosity. In Fontaine, perhaps a test subject for the Fontaine Research Institute. But in Nod-Krai, a land of outliers, she is simply another outcast. Here, her makeup of patchwork parts isn't a flaw or reason to be shunned, but rather it's a reflection of the region itself and all those she has met and is able to call a friend.
Yeah! Oh, I'm gonna lose it! That idiot! My inventions aren't useless! I'm never making him anything again! You're a dumb stray kid with no family. No wonder why your work is trash. I have a family! It's right here! My robots, my screws, and you!
Ineffa is the first step of many within the characters of Nod-Krai that seems to guide us as players toward the idea that home isn't about your origin or your source code, it's about your present and future connections. Her home is Nod-Krai because that's where she forges relationships and where she's accepted for who she is now, not for the random scrap parts she was made from. Her search for home is a search for self-acceptance, and in the frozen wastes of this borderland, surrounded by other lost souls and outcasts, she's finally able to find a community that reflects her own beautifully fragmented reality. These stories are just the beginning of the careful love that Nod-Krai holds. We're about to look deeper into the cosmic forces and ancient gods that shape this land, but if you're enjoying this exploration of Teyvat's lore and want to see more deep dives like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Your support helps me continue to piece together this incredible story of the world. The stories of Flins, Linnea, and Ineffa give us the human-scale evidence, but the grand theme of Nod-Krai, the search for home, is also written on a cosmic scale. The region's very foundations are built on ideas that challenge the established order of Teyvat.
René de Petrichor of the Noxitzenkreuz Ordo once foretold the fate of the world. Teyvat's skies contain multiple moons. A long time ago, when I did my first scan, I detected 3, just as the legends say. But when I checked again just now, I detected 4 moons.
The world is informed of the arrival of their new god.
Its power isn't from one of the 7, its history tied to fallen gods, and its future is being forged in a conflict that threatens everyone. To really understand Nod-Krai as a sanctuary, we have to look up to the celestial body that governs its identity, the moon. The developers have emphasized that the moon is a central theme for Nod-Krai, and it's pretty obvious, representing a structure built not around a single government, but around different factions, united by a common goal. It's a brilliant narrative choice. Unlike the sun, which shines with an overarching and indiscriminate authority, the moon is a quieter, more mysterious presence. It governs the tides, a force of gathering and dispersal. The official description of Nod-Krai invites travelers to follow the silver thread spun by the new moon. A new moon symbolizes a fresh start, a blank slate, the beginning of a new cycle. This symbolism is perfect for a land of outcasts. For those fleeing a past they can no longer return to, the promise of a new moon is the promise of a new life. The ancient power tied to the moons of old acts as a beacon, drawing people from all over Teyvat, whether they seek power, knowledge, or simply refuge. It makes the region a melting pot, where scattered story threads can converge. In a world ruled by 7 distinct elemental powers, the ancient light of the moon offers an alternative source of belonging. It suggests there is power older and perhaps more fundamental than the ones handed down by Celestia.
Who are you? Call me Sonnet. You have the
power as canon.
Sonnet. So, you're the goddess of the iridescent moon?
Oh, goodness. You recognize me? Well then, what's your name?
Columbina. Columbina Hyposelenia.
Hyposelenia? What a lovely name. Did you choose it yourself?
It was a joint effort between me and my friends.
Friends? You mean your friends in the heavens?
Huh?
Oh, sorry. You must be exhausted. I apologize. Hang in there. Let me introduce you to my older sisters.
Do you mean the other two moon goddesses? Arya and Canon?
Wow, you sure know a lot. Hey, does that mean that our story goes on into the future? Oh, I guess that wasn't the best question to ask. It's all right. We were prepared for that possibility. You could say we were too prepared. I can't even remember how long my sisters and I have been here by this point. Sisters! I'm back! And look who I've brought with me! It's our lovely little sister, born in the far future.
The pleasure is all mine.
Allow me to introduce you to Columbina Hyposelenia. This is Arya, the goddess of the eternal moon. And this is Canon, goddess of the frost moon. Canon, don't you think Hyposelenia's power is similar to yours?
Hello, Columbina. I apologize for our startled reaction just now. And please, forgive our little sister if she's been annoying you. She tends to talk a lot.
It's fine.
You seem shy. Don't worry, Columbina Hyposelenia. No one can hurt you here.
Could you tell me where here is? Please. I must know.
My dear sister. This is where Teyvat's original ruler, the Dragon King Nibelung, imprisoned the moon goddesses.
What? You're scaring her, Canon.
No, I'm fine. Please, continue.
Nibelung, our original master, created us in the distant past to maintain Teyvat.
But he left this world and traveled into the dark universe beyond, to explore worlds vaster still.
Day and night, we fulfilled our duty in the heavens, until the day that the first Descender arrived.
The great ruler of the firmament.
The heavenly principles.
Is that what later generations call them? I see. But we did not reject them at first, nor did they seem to harbor ill intent towards this world. We coexisted in peace. They were like a guest in our home.
Slowly, however, we came to realize that our guest had a growing desire to change and dominate the world.
And you didn't stop it?
No. There was an order to the rules they set up that Nibelung never taught us. We wanted to know if this order would bode good or ill for Teyvat.
Later, we discovered that this great ruler of the firmament bore an almost paranoid hostility toward the desire of certain life forms to seek power. Or perhaps they feared them. They would even cast down celestial nails as manifestations of their power, to punish the civilizations of the world below.
Only this was far beyond mere punishment.
But just when we had decided to take countermeasures, the Dragon King, Nibelung, returned.
And so began the War of Funerary Flame.
So, that's the name the world gave that war in the future.
Well, who won in the end?
As far as I know, the Heavenly Principles won, although it came at a great cost. They remained in Teyvat, where they continue to rule to this day. And the world's original master, the Dragon King Nibelung, was destroyed.
And what of the moons? Are there still 3 moons in Teyvat's skies?
You can tell us the truth, Columbina. We know we are but remnants of a bygone age. We are prepared for the answer.
Only the frost moon remains. But it has been cast beyond the false firmament by the Heavenly Principles. The eternal and iridescent moons were both shattered during the war.
So death finally came for us in the end.
The statues of the new moon, said to be scattered across the land, aren't monuments to a distant authoritarian god, but shrines to this promise of renewal and sanctuary in the darkness. This theme of an alternative, more personal form of divinity is central to the story of the Fatui harbinger, Columbina, the Damselette. As we play through the Nod-Krai Archon quest, it's very quickly revealed that Columbina is the moon goddess Kutar, who is worshipped by the native Frost Moon Scions. Kutar was born in Nod-Krai around 500 years ago, the prophesized rebirth of a lunar deity. However, her experience with her worshippers wasn't one of divine bliss. The Frost Moon Scions, in their desperation, cared more for the prayers and wishes she could grant than for her as a person. They saw her as a tool. Alienated and disillusioned, she eventually left her people and joined the Fatui. Columbina's story is a tragic and beautiful inversion of the search for home. Here we have a goddess born into a home, with people to worship her, yet she didn't feel she belonged.
Lama said she wishes to change the Frost Moon Scions, which is why she asked me to stay out of sight. I don't really understand what she meant, and to be honest, it's not something that concerns me. But I wasn't planning to see anyone anyway. If they found their way here themselves, that's hardly my fault. Lauma, the Maiden of the Grove. She is quite unlike any Frost Moon Scion I have ever met before. After hearing my story, she actually apologized for how the Frost Moon Scions treated me back then.
She told us she feels like she's been living on the far side of the moon.
Is that so? I actually got the opposite impression. She's been keeping her true power hidden away, afraid that people might be dazzled by its brilliance, and that they'd no longer be willing to look her way.
Her journey away from Nod-Krai and into the Fatui can be seen as her own search for a place where she could be more than just a divine vending machine.
Yes, even though I've run away from home, I do have some fond memories of it all the same. Arlecchino and Sandrone treated me quite well, along with... Give me your hand. Rosaline taught me it's important to always express gratitude to others. So, thank you for listening to me.
And yet, through many twists of fate, the story brings her back every time. leaving the Fatui and returning to Nod-Krai, seeking seclusion among the same people she once fled. Her arc suggests a different path for a god. Eventually, through many long hours of gameplay, we're able to help her in embracing Nod-Krai as her home, not as a ruler, but as a resident. She remains the moon goddess, but seeks her place within the community rather than above it. She's a goddess who is also an outcast, a divine being looking for the same thing as everyone else in Nod-Krai, a place to belong, and a reason for existing that feels right. Her presence transforms the region from a simple land of exiles into a place where even a god can come to find sanctuary.
I turn my body into moonlight and pour it over Nod-Krai. My soul I leave here to inform my future friends. Lastly, I will hide the Tri-Lune Authority within the Frost Moon. And when my body, soul, and authority are reunited, finally. It's been too long. I'm back.
There's a grim, pragmatic truth to how communities are formed. Nothing brings people together faster than a common enemy. And Nod-Krai has an enemy woven into its very soul, the Wild Hunt. This abyssal phenomenon is a group of monsters, former humans tainted by the abyss. It's easy to see that Nod-Krai was one of the regions hit hardest by the fallout of the Cataclysm, and this abyssal calamity has been a constant existential threat ever since. The name itself, the Wild Hunt, is drawn from a European folklore motif about supernatural hunters whose appearance foretells catastrophe. In Genshin Impact, it serves as a force of pure destruction, a relentless horde that threatens every home and sanctuary the people of Nod-Krai have struggled to build. And it's this relentless pressure that forces them to unite. When your very existence is threatened, old grudges become a luxury. The Wild Hunt doesn't care if you're a Knight of Favonius, a Fatui soldier, or a Frostmoon Scion. It's a threat to everyone's home. And so, protecting that home becomes a collective responsibility. This is why we see such a strange convergence of factions. Varka's expedition isn't just there for reconnaissance, they are helping the Lightkeepers defend the border. Even certain Fatui, like Arlecchino, are cooperating with the Traveler and the Scions to expel the abyssal threats. This forced cooperation transforms Nod-Krai from a collection of individuals into a real community. They aren't united by a shared ideology or devotion to a god, but by the shared gut-level need to survive. Their home isn't a static place of comfort, it's an active, ongoing project of mutual defense. They find their sense of belonging not in quiet moments of peace, but in the heat of battle, standing shoulder to shoulder against the darkness. This is the ultimate expression of Nod-Krai's theme. It tells us that a home is not just a place you live in, it's something you fight for. So, what have we learned from the biting gales and pale moonlight of Nod-Krai? We've journeyed through a land defined by exile, a place for those who don't fit, who've been cast out or who are simply lost. We've met Flins, the ancient fae who found a new reason to live by protecting the home others built. We've met Ineffa, the patchwork automaton, who may discover that home isn't about where you come from, but where you're accepted. And we've looked at the cosmic forces that shape this land, where the unifying light of the moon and the existential threat of the abyss have forged a community out of wanderers. Nod-Krai makes a profound statement in the world of Genshin Impact. It redefines the very idea of a nation. For 6 regions, our understanding of home has been tied to the divine ideal of an archon and a strong sense of nationalism, for better or worse. But Nod-Krai proposes something radically different. It argues that home isn't an ideal handed down from on high. It's a community forged from the ground up. It's a sense of purpose found in a shared struggle. It's the acceptance found among fellow outcasts. Home, in Nod-Krai, is not a physical place you return to, but a choice you make, a promise you keep, and a battle you fight every single day. In many ways, Nod-Krai feels like the thematic culmination of the traveler's own journey. We too are the ultimate wanderer, searching for our lost twin and a way back home. We've traveled from nation to nation to nation to nation, but have never truly found a place to put down roots. The developers have hinted that Nod-Krai is a place where all the scattered story threads of Teyvat are meant to come together. Again, it's the ultimate crossroads. Perhaps it's here, in this land of exiles, that the traveler will finally find their own answer to the question of home. By helping to protect the sanctuary for the lost, maybe the traveler will further come to see all of Teyvat as a home worth fighting for, and what their reason for traveling to Teyvat with their twin was in the first place. Nod-Krai is the Elysium of the displaced, and in a world of crumbling gods and celestial lies, it may be the most honest and resilient home of all. A home built not on faith in a god, but on faith in each other. So, I'd like to ask you this. As you look across the vast cast of characters we've met on our journey, who else do you think is still searching for their true home? Which characters would find their way to the moon-blessed borderlands of Nod-Krai? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the themes of Nod-Krai and a few of its dearly loved characters. If you have your own theories about this mysterious region, I love to read them. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more Genshin Impact lore and analysis. Until next time, may you find your own sanctuary, fellow traveler.